there's a video coming, but we are now. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining this edition of Bitcoin Business Basics. I am extremely excited to be talking to you all today. I have Superwoman. She's got her shirt over her actual S on her chest, but we're going to hear from her in just a little while. Bitcoin Business Basics, as you all can see, I'm out at the Port of Los Angeles, which is the new facility that Crypto Kids Camp is housed at here, thanks to the Port of Los Angeles, out to sea at the Port of Los Angeles. And just really super excited. The weather is great. This is a phenomenal space that the kids are able to come and learn all about the different things that they're doing in emerging technologies, blockchain, cryptocurrency, all of those things. So I'm excited to be out here today. But that's not why we're here today. We have the incredible Miss Tiffany Madison in the house for Bitcoin Business Basics. And this sister is a three-time co-founder, like incredible. And two of those companies are still up and running, thriving, and maybe all three. We'll hear from her in just a few seconds. But we want to say to you, Miss Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us on Bitcoin Business Basics. How are you doing today?
Awesome. I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it. This is great.
Oh, absolutely. And we thank you for coming on the show. So, Tiffany, tell us a little bit about your journey. How in the world are you co-founder of all these different things? First of all, how are you doing that?
You know, very poor work-life balance until about 2, 3 years ago. Now, I'm a mom, and we got custody of my stepson, and so that's two kids, right? And so you have to adjust your priorities, and so I don't know that I could go at the pace that I did a long time ago now, but it's been a journey, and yeah, I honestly got into entrepreneurialism in general as a philosophy very young as a kid, right? I grew up in, slightly above the poverty line, at the poverty line. And so we learned very early on that you bring money into the household, then you don't have to ask mom for things that she can't afford to buy you. And so, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and I just brought that forward into, adulthood and into where I actually wanted to go with my career, which has always been in interesting, disruptive technology, ideas, cultures, systems, is always what I've favored. And so I got drawn in from the civil liberties, civil activist community into blockchain liberty community, and I have never looked back since 2014.
That is incredible. And so I like that you said you've always been into the type of disruptive type things. So does that kind of make you the rebel in the family?
A little bit, yeah.
Just a little
Yeah,
bit, a little
just a
bit.
little bit, yeah.
Yes.
my
So
my sisters are executives, and they're very very wonderful, polished executive types, and I'm a little bit of the rebel in the family, but hey, we love that, right? It's good.
yeah, yes, yes, yes. And so because we were talking about your balance between your work life and your home life, now that you have children, and a husband, which requires a lot of time and attention. What do you find are some of the ways that you're able to help that balance? Because a lot of us find running businesses that we don't have that balance. So, what would be a couple of the tips that you can tell us about that work-life balance with the family as well?
Yeah, I've had really great mentors that have reined me in over the years because, given my socioeconomic background, I always felt like I had to claw my way up to the top, right? And so that, at a very early age, I think inspires you to have to try or feel like you have to try harder than everyone around you. And startup culture will eat you alive. People who seek validation so desperately from the business environment and winning and being excited to achieve something really can feed an unhealthy, I think, balance of not just work life, but how much emotional capital and energy you're giving to various areas of your life. And, these startups and being an entrepreneur, especially if you're even in crypto at all in any way, shape, or form, as a business, it's very, very taxing and draining. And so I think learning to be honest with yourself about what you're actually spending your time doing has been super helpful. I also am a consultant, and I charge by the hour, and every 15 minutes is ruthlessly applied to make sure that my client, gets the most bang out of their buck. And so I've had to institute block scheduling, which is literally where you dedicate huge blocks of time for a specific purpose. And some people find it too rigid. I used to. But now I actually find that it helps me maintain that healthy balance to bill appropriately, but also just make sure that when I'm done with that work, I can actually have my daughter come in here and watch Moana and hang out and bring her little Barbies and her books. And I'm not stressing about, oh, I've got 4 more hours I have to bill because I already did that time, right? So yeah, I think that being honest with yourself and then setting up a system that works for you. Maybe it's Pomodoro, maybe it's block scheduling, maybe it's, taking one weekend off with your family with no phones once a month, right? Like test things until you find what works and then run with something that works for your schedule. Is that what you've done personally as well? I heard you were saying that you've got kiddos there and a
Oh
family.
man, I'm literally sitting outside of a 10-year-old birthday party right now.
That's awesome.
There's 30 kids in there running around, and I haven't found that work-life balance, to be quite honest. And I think I just got some coaching from you as to what I do. So I definitely will not profess that I have mastered the work-life balance. And I think that is really several things that you said hit home with me, because in this startup space, especially in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space, where you don't have other people to model the things that you do, you tend to be making it up as you go and proving yourself as you go, as you just stated. And this is a tough space that we're in, not only as women, but me being a minority in this space has added to that show and prove type of thing that I deal with. So no, I haven't mastered it at all. And so I am doing a little bit better with blocking off my time and really making sure that family time is family time, and hadn't done that before. I think COVID really woke me up to the fact that anything can happen and time is so short. And so, but yes, I appreciate those words of wisdom from you.
Thank you. Thank
Definitely,
you.
definitely.
Hard earned, hard earned.
Oh,
Trust me. Yeah.
I gotta laugh at that one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about a couple of the companies that you've co-founded.
Sure. Yeah, so DecentraNet is the first, advisory blockchain boutique, also venture investment. It's kind of like a incubator as well, a mixture of things. And essentially, what we decided to do in 2017, all of us had been in the space for many years. My co-founder Matt McKibben, who is been in the space about a year and a half earlier than me, who joined up with his brother and our other co-founder Ted and founded DecentraNet, and essentially became an investment and advisory firms for blockchain. But we're now actually looking at transformative tech in general. And then, it's funny, prior to that, I co-founded D10E, which was a conference that was about decentralization before that was a thing. And Matt and I co-founded that together with Brock Pierce, who is a, notoriety or a person of notoriety in the crypto and blockchain space. And ultimately, what we found back in 2014 and what attracted me from the civil liberties side of the house over to the blockchain and Bitcoin in general and crypto is the ability to democratize financial access and inclusion to people who did not have it before. And so D10E was the original foray into trying to attract people outside of what was then these little small Bitcoin silos, mostly with developers or entrepreneurs who were just understood the tech really early, that really wanted to bring other people in. And so as that organization, grew and flourished, we really were able to bring in all of these disruptive tech guys and 3D printing and AI and all these really cool VR when it was really cutting edge in 2014, and unite them with the guys who can help them take Bitcoin for their businesses and, essentially even do an enterprise blockchain solution, right? And so we were able to get these people who would otherwise never talk together. And I think the spirit of that democratization of financial access has really carried me through all the other companies that I've worked with. That definitely was at the heart center of DecentraNet. But then also AMMA Healing is a luxe CBD brand that I co-founded that is also a really heart-centered project with my same team. So yeah, that is a AMMAhealing.com, or I'm sorry, .co. You guys can go to that website and check that out. But that was more of we really saw a lot of garbage CBD on the marketplace and had almost our opportunity wet by watching a lot of people that we really respected not like CBD, physicians, clinicians, people who actually knew the medicinal properties and benefits of the plant, but weren't actually getting good product. And so my co-founder had a wonderful relationship with someone who had a great chemist and a great place to go. And ultimately it's where we, formed a bond with them, and over time have really crushed it as a business. And we've been very grateful for all the people who supported us through COVID, because I want to say 90% of our CBD small mom and pop competitors are out of business from COVID. I mean, it was a pretty hardcore, devastating thing for small businesses, as we all know. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the third company that I'm involved in. And then ultimately, I'm branching out on my own. I saw that you do educational content too, which I thought was really cool. Maybe I can send you something after this and we might be able to collab together. But my passion project, now that I've taken my head out of the blockchain retail enterprise clouds, working on all these projects and, evaluating all of this really great stuff, it almost gives you a disconnect to what retail people are thinking and retail users and the average person, like my aunt who used to get annoyed on Thanksgiving when I would tell her about Bitcoin, is now all of a sudden super interested, right? And so what is her experience now when she goes to download a wallet? Like, what are her options available? And so I started Curiosity Foundry, which is like tiny little boutique that I already do. A second brand, a boutique firm that I already do, a second brand called Curiosity Now, where we want to make content that is super simple, that we can guide anyone through the process of actually just setting up a wallet, right? $10, that's all you got to do. So that's something fun that I'm working on the side, when I'm not consulting. And so, yeah, I feel pretty good about where crypto is going. And for entrepreneurs and the enterprise industry and anybody who's in this ecosystem, all the opportunities really opened up. I'd say 2016 to 2019. And now we're about to skyrocket into some great areas.
Yes, I totally agree. And isn't it interesting how I even want to say what? Well, first of all, Thanksgiving dinner 2017 was
Yeah.
all talking about crypto. And then 2018 and 2019, nobody wanted to say a word about anything. And 2020, well, I still did anyway, and they didn't listen. And so now, like you said, your aunt, we're getting these calls just back and forward. And just a couple of months ago, I was saying this is just like a Gucci purse. It is on sale. Go and buy it. It's low. And they're like, oh no, it's dropped. I'm like, no, it's on sale. You don't do that with purses or shoes. Why are you doing it with Bitcoin? And now here we go. We're on the run again. And so now everybody's interested. I
Yes, ma'am.
don't get it. I don't get it. Yes. So of those businesses that you have going, um,
Yes.
I'm just going to ask a question that I already know the answer to. How in those businesses specifically, let's talk about the CBD business. Are you accepting Bitcoin?
Yes. So actually, we had to do a Shopify integration to allow us to take crypto payments. And I think there was actually a complication with that. And if I remember correctly, I'm not the developer, nor am I the guy who works on the dev team. But if I remember correctly, we actually got shut down with MailChimp and had to move over and it wasn't because of CBD, it was because of crypto. And also, they scraped our website, by the way, and flagged us because some of us were in the crypto industry, and it was cryptocurrency and Bitcoin were in our bios on our website. That's
Yes.
how hardcore MailChimp hates crypto.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
wow, I'm never giving you my business ever again.
Yes.
Yes, we do. We do. We try to, as a consultant, I try to take as many options as I can. And it's really funny that you asked this question because I am literally trying to figure out the very best on ramp for myself and what the system should be for my clients, because now I'm having more people want to pay in Cardano, which I'm so happy about. And I'll take some ETH too. But having a seamless way for them to do it, like a payment integration. I'm trying to figure out right now if it's like a, Stripe integration with another tech. So if anyone in your audience has any recommendations for products they love or have their own startup that solves this problem, that would be great. Let me know. You can email me anytime. But yeah, we definitely always try to take it. And I'm sure you do as well for your
Yes,
business.
yes.
Let me know if you have a solution to recommend. That would be great.
We definitely do, and we will get with you to give you some info. And so what we want to just really talk to the audience about, we are in Bitcoin Business Basics, and something incredible actually happened, and we'll get back to some of the other things about Tiffany, but Tiffany was just talking about MailChimp. I've been shut down by I'm not even going to start naming them. I've been shut down by every email service except for Constant Contact. Every
Wow.
Weber, you name it, I've been shut down. So Constant Contact, we've been able to build a really good relationship with them, and yeah, you're right. They scrape the website, they find out who's doing what, and we didn't lose our emails. We just didn't have the ability to send out. And so I'm just really thankful that we built this relationship the last 3 years with Constant Contact, and they've been awesome. But since the last Bitcoin Business Basics, I am sad to say that our accounts got shut down. Our actual
Wow.
bank account got shut down. And so when we talk to when we talk to business owners, I like to be truthful and just tell people what's happening, what's out there, so they don't that they're never surprised by what could be the possibilities. All of a sudden, Bank of America just decided that they no longer wanted a banking relationship with us. And not only did they say that, they froze the funds in our account and are holding them until September 15th. Well, for a small business, that is really detrimental to the health and well being of the business. And just because we are doing cryptocurrency and Bitcoin should not be the reason for those things. And so, but that is where the way it is. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody else off. I'm just letting you know that, if you're talking about and really in this space, I guess wholeheartedly, our whole business model is not just selling a Bitcoin. We also have all these other things that we do in the space. But they've made it incredibly hard for us the last couple of weeks to even, do business. But it is what it is. And I'm like you. I am the one that is gonna not stop, because they scared me or did anything, try to stifle my growth and innovation. And so I'm just gonna keep pushing.
Yeah.
I'm that one. So we'll make it happen.
I love it. And
But
I'm sorry that you had to do that, because every time you invest as an entrepreneur your time into developing that platform, that takes time. And so that is literally lost sunk cost that they're causing you. Of course, you
yeah,
can rationalize it and spin it into a lesson learned, right? Thank you for telling me that. You just saved me, and I will save my clients now, to not even bother using it. But it's funny, it's that we're the first generation of human being that can own money that doesn't need a bank or a government. And
yes,
so humans can now send money to someone they don't know or trust securely from anywhere in the world. And that is a very, as you know, important invention in its early stages. And like electricity, Bitcoin is going to monetarily change legacy Western institutions, and they're going to fight that every step of the way. But
yes,
ultimately, those paper dollars are like candles, and crypto and Bitcoin are electricity. And so the candle makers can only fight that for so long, and then it becomes inevitable. But unfortunately, we're in the fight stage. And so that's where it becomes difficult for people, thankfully, like us, who have high resilience, that we're just not going to let it be affected. But it does deter other merchants, which is a very unfortunate situation, because the more entrepreneurs, especially after COVID, actually have these resources, the less likely you are to have to ask some distant DC bureaucrat for a favor when unfortunately inflation continues to rise. So, Yeah, I think it's a very important thing. And I'm glad that you're persistent. Keep doing it. I feel you. And I know it will get easier. It's just going to take time until we have a good stage of adoption.
Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is. And so, and I said that, and again, I am not here to scare or deter anyone from going after your dreams. You can do this. You can be resilient. You can take, I say, I take it on the chin. I take a punch on the chin. I take a licking and keep on sticking because we've got to do this. We are the pioneers. We're very early in this. Even if you're hearing the sound of both of our voices today and you have a business and you want to accept Bitcoin or you want to figure out exactly what you need to do, just know that you're early. Things are changing. Things change so quickly in this space. But because you have and are giving the option, you just really make the possibilities endless for yourself and for your company. And so I asked you to do that. So, with that being said, one of the companies that you co-founded, is talking about decentralization in a big way, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, what do you have to offer to business owners? I know you're doing the coaching and some of the other, but what specifically for business owners do you have that might someone might want to call you about and really get to know your company and try to work with you on a daily basis?
Awesome. Thank you. I didn't expect to answer that question. I appreciate that. So right now, I've really been working with entrepreneurs. I just had a really wonderful venture capitalist. I've never worked directly with a VC before. Approached me for some assistance because I worked with another friend of hers. And essentially, what I'm doing is I'm auditing their systems and I'm finding out what they could be doing to actually shave a lot of their time. And it's not just from an automation perspective, it's also evaluating habits, right? And other elements, depending on how we engage, of their work life balance almost. That's not what I intended when I first started out with this, but it's gone in that direction. And then, we take the results of the audit and we look at ways to optimize, right? And so, for instance, I've got a client that I just signed on who is getting a wonderful amount of very healthy deals. She works exclusively with women founders, technology companies. And ultimately, what we need to figure out how to help her process is to create a customized dashboard for her in deal flow. And so it's essentially my job to go out and find that optimal resource for her, price it out for her, give her options. And then she can either hire me to implement, and I have a whole team of people that help me depending on what it is about, or I just give her the roadmap at the end of the audit. And so I haven't had a client not engage me to help in some way, shape, or form. But ultimately, I am extremely passionate about helping entrepreneurs scale. I believe that the entrepreneurial spirit is under attack. I believe it is an institutional threat. The middle class is the greatest invention, social structure that's ever existed. And ultimately, it is drastically shrinking. And the only way to prevent that from happening is to empower entrepreneurs. And so I'm very passionate about that. And, everyone's got a post-COVID, all the ambitious, productive people have all these post-COVID plans. I'm like, I can't wait. Like 2022, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But my business partner and I are helping businesses adopt Bitcoin. We are also, and that's just a side project. That's not my normal 9-to-5 stuff, or, my client work. But then ultimately, it's just, I'm kind of creating this library right now that should be just this free resource. So each time I have a client, or even for myself, that is comfortable with me taking a screenshot. For instance, I'm helping a nonprofit right now that I'm doing this with. And I actually have my VA go in and record the setup of whatever the tool is. And we're going to catalog that into a huge free library that just gives people training, right? Let's say you love HoneyBook and it serves you, right? But you absolutely need it to integrate with your Squarespace booking, okay? We're going to set it up, so why not just record the process? So ultimately, that's a side thing that I'm very passionate about doing. But yeah, if anyone from a business perspective ultimately needs help scaling or building or modifying their business to sell, acquisitions and selling, from an audit perspective, having all that stuff pretty squared away in advance is usually a good idea. But those are I'd say the trend clients I'm working with for the moment, for at least this quarter and throughout the rest of the year.
And that's really, really awesome. And so because I know that a lot of new businesses, small businesses are watching and will watch this at a later date. My question to you becomes, what if somebody feels like they cannot afford to have someone come in and actually look at their processes and the things that they're doing? What would you say to them? Other than you can't afford not to, right?
Yeah.
You got
So
to find.
here's the problem. This is it's hard to establish any business where you then create cost prohibitive content and still call yourself impact focused, right? Impact aligned, which is what I do, meaning that I like to create things that create an impact, right? How am I creating an impact if only the people who can afford my stuff get access to it, right? It's not fair. So ultimately, what I am looking to do, I've got a couple strategies, kind of on, you put me on the spot in a good way. So ultimately, Curiosity Foundry, I want to create a maybe, I don't even know, maybe like a Facebook group or member site or something where once a week during these processes, as I'm setting them up for clients who are totally cool with me doing this, I can actually just go live and set this stuff up. Literally, if I could share my screen with you, I am setting up a tool right now called Hub Staff. I'm creating a top level advisory manual, right? I'm going to spend maybe 20 minutes on this. And then I'm going to hand it to my EA, my executive assistant, who's amazing. And she's going to write a procedure. So now I actually know how I can integrate these things, right? I could be doing this in real time ultimately. And if you are someone and that appeals to you, then that content is there for you. You may not be able to afford to book me one-to-one, but I can create these materials. And so I have already created quite a few, and I think I'm probably going to be on track for the end of September, just really building that free resource and open library for everyone. And I've already got so many templates, it just makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with that. And ultimately, entrepreneurs, you've got so many resourceful, wonderful resources at your fingertips. You just need to know how to use it sometimes, right? There's no reason why you can't shoot off an email to somebody and ask them to help you. And so that's where I, definitely hope that I'm helping people that may not be able to book me one-on-one to come in and do, a full-on audit of their company.
Well, thank you for that, and we appreciate you. Now, how would someone get in contact with you for that particular service?
Yeah, it's just Tiffany at tiffanymadison.com. And you can reach me there and reach out. Let me know what your business is about, what you do, and what your primary pain point is. And let's jump on a call and make sure that, from your own perspective, you have the actual excitement to fix the problem, the interest to get from A to B a little faster, right? And that would be kind of an initial assessment. A lot of times I have talked to clients that actually don't have as big of a problem as they think they do. And I already have materials or can point them in the right direction, or someone through my network that I can connect them with that can solve the problem without ever really having to engage me. That takes 7 minutes of my time, right? It's the least I can do for a fellow entrepreneur. A side note too, I wanted to let you know. So because this sounds kind of like this, like wholesome, good Samaritan kind of nonsense. So for the last 4 years, I was a city leader in Clarksville, Tennessee for Bunker Labs, which is a veteran entrepreneur incubator, essentially a nonprofit organization targeted specifically to veterans and military spouses. My husband is retiring in a year at 20 years of service. I'm a military spouse of 10 years and way too many deployments. But ultimately, I've been doing this for the last 4 years, like connecting entrepreneurs and giving them resources and building them resources. So now I'm just kind of pivoting toward entrepreneurs that aren't specifically just veterans and military spouse, which have a whole unique set of challenges. So I'm kind of democratizing my own content that I can share with entrepreneurs to kind of give them a heads up, right, on how this stuff can be really easy. So if that makes a little bit sense, so it doesn't sound like I'm, just some happy lady coming in here and helping everybody for free for a million hours. I really am passionate about this stuff.
Right. And that shows. It definitely shows.
Thank
It
you.
shows in your work, it shows in your bio. And so we appreciate that. And while you were a military wife, I will say thank you for your service, because
Thank you.
behind every great man in the military, no, honestly,
You're awesome.
there are good women that are home and doing the things that need to happen. And so we appreciate you for that. And we
Thank
also appreciate all the things that you have given, of your time
you.
and your service. And I have to say that because, you know, anybody that knows me knows that a lot of what I do for this community right now is not monetarily paying off. You know, you got to give a little bit, give a lot of it, in most times, to really help serve the demographic that you are dealing with. And because we are talking about Bitcoin business basics and businesses, a lot of people get in business for the money. And sometimes when you're in a space where you are creating the path that people are going to follow behind you. Not all the time is it as lucrative as you might feel, but your day does come. And I feel like after reading your bio and some of the things that you've done, your day is definitely here. And you're able to, you know, again, be a consultant for those services. And folks need to reach out and see what you have to offer because it is definitely needed, is needed. And I think the type of person that you are is really critical to the coaching style that people need in this particular day and age. Because that old coaching style is that corporate stuff. I
Yeah,
hate to say it, is about to be over. And you,
100%. Yeah.
yes, yes,
If I can't straight shoot, I'm a Texan. If I can't Texan talk you, I don't want to deal. I don't want to, continue a partnership, right? You need to be able
yeah.
to be candid with people. And I am the most coachable person in the world. I take my mentors' guidance like law and I apply it as needed. Not everything they give me is that great, but most of it is wonderful. And I try to apply it. And so I like to work with people who have that same beginner's mindset, that same dedication to curiosity.
Yes, yes. And that was my husband calling in. And I have it on Do Not
Awesome.
Disturb, but you know, there's certain numbers that come through anyway. And so since he's home, I think he forgot I had to do an event today. But yeah, I really appreciate it. And I know we're kind of at the bottom of the hour and gonna be kind of wrapping up. I
Yeah.
wanted to just really ask you as a woman in this space, how have you as a woman business owner, co-founder, how have you been able to really deal with the, um, I'm going to say, inequities of the gender in this space? Because there are not a lot of women out here in this space.
Yeah.
They're coming. We're coming.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
how are you dealing with the gender imbalance?
It's funny for me because I have always been the only female, usually, or the maybe one of two, in every male dominated industry that I've ever been in. In the corporate world, I was in, commercial real estate, which is predominantly male. I'm married to a gun pilot. So all of my social circle are gun pilots. So, like the blockchain is just rolling into another male dominated industry. And so honestly, I didn't separate it from any of the other areas where I've been active, professionally. Um, I will say though that there is such, as the blockchain world begins to open up and we do begin to democratize access to this technology, just like the adoption of electricity, we are going to attract more and more talented people every single day. The main thing we need right now are marketers and communicators, and we've needed them for a very long time. And you're going to start seeing, just like Wall Street's jumping off the Titanic to jump over to crypto, we're going to start seeing people from that world come over. And I think you're going to see a lot more diversity and inclusion from that perspective. Again, I grew up in a part of town where I was the minority. And so to me, I'm always primed almost to look around for very, very, if I may say so, really white spaces. And so, I don't want to ever make anyone feel like that's a predominant thing I'm thinking about in a room or when I'm ever interacting with anyone, because I am a humanist. And so ultimately, it's just really hard to ignore. And if I have to say from a woman's perspective, I think I have been extremely blessed because I went through that 2014, 15, 16 period where a lot of scammers were in the space. And those scammers, burned things down, lost trust, and kind of got blacklisted. And a lot of the worst elements of crypto kind of faded away and they were gone and rode the 2017, 2018, and then 2019, 2020, we get a bunch of gross scammers again. And so when I find that the space gets invaded with gross scammers, it really blocks access to people who truly need to get into crypto because that's what they think it is. It's kind of like den of snakes, right? And so ultimately, I see that changing and evolving. But I have to say, I have never in the crypto space been treated differently as a woman outside of dealing with programmers. And they came from the Silicon Valley mindset, which is, I don't know if you've ever heard the word programmer, but they're just very bro-y. Yes. And so that element I found as I have become more professional and have taken on more serious high level projects over time, that crowd has just kind of faded away. And I'm now I feel blessed to have surrounded myself, and you will too if you haven't already, and I'm sure you have, with new and old people from this ecosystem that really do just want to support each other. So I feel like over time, my radar for charlatans and bigots and racists or sexists has completely fine-tuned to the point where I don't even engage with that type. I will also say that I have not been exposed to that either because I have zero tolerance for it. I genuinely forget that I know I can't use profanity, so I'll be very kind. I genuinely forget that people. Okay,
Like,
okay. I genuinely forget that assholes like this exist. That they literally have these thoughts. That they are real thoughts. That they truly think have validity in the world. And so I'm almost mystified when I see it and immediately disregard it as amateur hour. So I think the more we treat it like amateur hour, the more it becomes amateur hour. And that to me is almost how I would like to see any institution that has a problem with a lack of inclusivity, or even something that is becoming not serving the people that are in it who value inclusivity. It has to be gutted or changed or evolved immediately, or that only persists. And so I feel like we've gone through multiple evolutions and we haven't seen anything yet. I think we're about to see a massive explosion of really fantastic talent and art, musicians, developers, and also I'm sure you're watching all of the wonderful startup development taking place in Africa. But Africa is going to take over. It is going to dominate the developing world to become a absolute powerhouse in this next century. I'd say in the next 20 years, but like I see mega empire happening, right? Just this is what happens when you get out of people's way. And so by the virtue of global inclusivity and access to Bitcoin, I don't think that the people who don't value those things have any room long term in this industry.
that was incredible. I don't even know if I could have asked you for a closing word. That was better.
Thank you.
Just sitting right now. I'm just literally sitting here just smiling. You are incredible. Those words were incredible.
Thank
And
you.
I know that there are so many people who needed to hear that, and that it really just gave some confirmation to what we really believe, that getting out of folks' way is something that needs to happen, that we're at the very, very beginning of all the different changes that are going to happen. And my sentiments are exactly the same. The next 20 years, oh my goodness, we are in for the best times of our lives.
I agree. It is a wonderful time to be alive. It could be a lot better. We have a lot of improvements to make, but we're on that track, and I love to see it. I'm very passionate about this, so thank you for giving me a tiny little soapbox for a minute, but I really believe it, and there's a lot of people to do, and so we're going to make it happen.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And I appreciate you, Miss Tiffany Madison, Mrs. Tiffany Madison, for spending time with us and gracing us with your words and just enlightening, just the enlightenment is just awesome. And so I'm going to just ask our team really quick if there were any questions from the chat, because we know Tiffany has a fabulous family that she has to tend to. And I'm outside of a 10-year-old's birthday party, and I learned work-life balance. We usually go an hour, but today I promised I get done and back in here. So, do we have any questions for Tiffany or anything, Tiffany, you want to add? And we know where to get to reach you, because we learned that it was Tiffany at tiffanymadison.com, and you
Yes,
all can
ma'am.
reach me, Najah at najahroberts.com, and on the chat. I'll read it out loud. Please be sure to follow Tiffany Madison and her work at tiffanymadison.com and get that. And I will be, once I get some things happening with my little co foundership, I'll call it that, moving along, I will definitely be reaching out to do
Please do.
some oddity work and some things like that with our different businesses we have run. So, and I love what you're doing. Um,
Thank you.
let's see. I think that was just a statement. Yes, Blockchain Chamber of Commerce said truer statements haven't been said. A lot more to come from this space. Yes, ma'am. And thank you, or sir. But I think I know that that was a fabulous young lady that put that comment up. But Tiffany, we appreciate you and we thank you for all that you do. And we're looking forward to great things. And if there's anything that you need from us, please feel free to reach out. And I will be talking to you very soon
Yes,
about
ma'am.
that process.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and I hope you enjoy the party.
Thank you very much. You all have an incredible day. And thank you again for joining Bitcoin Business Basics. My name
Yes,
is
ma'am.
Najah Roberts. And again, we thank Tiffany Madison for being on today. You all have an incredible rest of your evening. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.